Very presence of the Lord. I'm not going to complete this text tonight. I'll complete it next week. We're in a series in Bible study. I'm empowered to prosper. Look at somebody say, I'm empowered to prosper. But I want to tell you tonight, don't continue to do the right thing with the wrong ones.
That's good. That's it. That's good.
Don't continue to do the right thing with the wrong ones. The Christian, I got enough sense to know about it. Amen. In my ministry and for me. Everybody on my staff isn't praising my promotion. We find in the text tonight the book of Revelation. Revelation is a Greek word that means to unveil. We find that John is the revelator. He's falsely accused at this time. We find him in prison. The layman theologian stated that his feet and his ankles are in stocks. He's charged as a common criminal. But John begins to pick up the pen and he writes on the Lord's day. Somebody say on the Lord's day. Now this is a time where he's falsely accused. He's separated from the congregation. He's reviled by the community. How many of you can honestly admit when you lose things, you lose people? The Bible said that he slipped into the presence. God, I'm trying to teach this here. He slipped into the essence of God's glory. He slipped into the Adonai of God. He slipped into the essence of God's glory, and it took him into the aisle which is called Patmos. Bible said he begins to write on the Lord's day. John, can it be the Lord's day? He said, I was in the Spirit. I want to tell you, the Spirit of God will always take you behind the problem and reveal to you a solution. Slap somebody, say, I dare you to get in the Spirit. That's why I came to tell somebody, you can't get stuck, you can't get distracted. You can't let what you're dealing with alter your focus. In this hour, you got to stay in nothing else. Focus. He said, I was in the Spirit, and God began to reveal unto him the 7 churches which are at Asia. In this church in particular, it's called the Church Thyatira. We find he begins to write as the Holy One, as the sent one, as the Spirit of God gave him what I call utterance. He begins to write. The Bible said the Son of God said unto John, write. Now, Son of God, can I deal with the Son of God for a moment? We are apostolic. We believe in monotheism. We believe that there's not a Trinitarian doctrine, but there's only one God. So when John began to write and say, the Son of God, it wasn't the Creator talking. It wasn't even the Sustainer talking. It was God in the person of him being redemption. Meaning God with his good self had enough of John and Thyatira to address them as a redeemer. What are you saying, Dunlap? God was dealing with them according to their sins, but he wasn't creating judgment. He was speaking as a God that could redeem them, meaning they still had time. He says, write unto them, I am the Son, being their Redeemer. I've got eyes as flames of fire, signifying he can see through every person and everything. Aren't you glad you serve an all-seeing, all-knowing, omniscient God? Look at somebody and say, I serve a God that sees all, hears all, and knows all. What are you saying? I'm glad he knows Nuwayne Dunlap. The Bible said his feet were like brass, meaning he judged with perfect wisdom, so he acts with perfect strength and steadiness. What you saying, Dunlap? Aren't you glad God is stable? Aren't you glad he's not like man? Sometimes they up, sometimes they down. Sometimes they feel like a nut, sometimes they don't. Sometimes they feel delivered, sometimes they don't. I ain't studying y'all monkey looking folk in here. Y'all only come to have church. I preach anyhow. Hold on, I serve a God that's unsteady. He's not like man, unstable in all his way. Have you ever seen some people in the house of God? One service they're happy, the next service the same day being Sunday night they're sad. One day they are the called of God, the next day they're not sure. But the Bible said his feet were like brass, meaning he was steady and stable, meaning he's the same yesterday, today, and forevermore. Can I pause parenthetically here for somebody in the church that God gave a word 2 years ago, and the enemy's been telling you that God changed his mind. The enemy's telling you that God is not going to perform the thing he spoke over your life, just because now time has set into your promise. But I came to tell you, like my daddy, some of you are living in the meanwhile. Even though I'm in the meanwhile and it's almost over, God's still gonna do exactly what he said. Dunlap, he said, so shall my word be that goeth forth out of my mouth, shall not return unto me void, but it shall accomplish that which I please, and prosper in the thing whereto I sent it. Slap somebody and say, you need to thank God you still got a word. Can I say this here? I'm glad that you can't separate God from his word. When I get a word, I get God. I can't dissect God or separate him from his word. So if by chance the word doesn't come to pass, then God isn't who he said he is. But I got enough proof. I tried it last year and I found out he's factual. I tried it the year before. I found out he was factual, meaning he was a true God. He came through for me like nobody else could. Look at somebody and say, oh, he came through for me like nobody else could. The Bible said God told John the Revelator, he said, make mention of thy time. I'm trying to preach here. Make mention of them. They have an honorable character. Doesn't that sound like Temple of Refuge? They are a church of character, a church of charity. You understand this? There's no religion in the world that does not have charity. Charity. I know that Thyatira is a church. I've seen their service, their faith, their patience, and their fruitfulness. But sometimes you can't confuse numbers with God, because sometimes numbers are just like cancer. Anytime you open it up, it will spread. Anything living will grow, but it doesn't mean it's God. You got a whole lot of good things in your life growing, but it does not mean it's God. That's why you got to examine every good decision in the God decision. Just because it looks like it's fruitful, it does not mean that's the plan of God. He said, understand that Thyatira is a very fruitful place. Oh, but I've got one problem with them. I'm closing in less than 14 minutes. Your quietness doesn't bother me. Stay quiet. It's all right. I've got one problem with them. You got some wicked seducers in your camp that I compared to Jezebel. So for that cause, I'll name them Jezebel. You got some seducers. Seduce means to lure, to tempt, to persuade, to lead astray, to entice, to snare, to beguile in your church. What you saying, Dunlap? You got some people that are jumping, shouting, speaking in tongues, laying hands, prophesying, but got the wrong motive. That's what I say, got the wrong motive. They're seducers. Any man, any woman, any boy, any girl that tries to seduce you, to call you away from your leader, call you away from the church of the living God. Any spirit or individual that tries to change the truth of God into a you. Jezebel, I expect y'all here. Jezebel. Can I give you the historicity? 1 Kings 16 says Jezebel was married